Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Medidas Cautelares. And today we have a very special guest. We're going to have a very interesting discussion about something that honestly is going to be very important for all of you. At this time, when there is so much economic and financial instability, precisely because of the wars happening all over the world, especially after that incursion. That attack by the United States and Israel on Iran, a lot of instability is being created economically and financially. Fuel prices are going up. And the truth is that it's a good time to research, to look into new economic formulas, new financial formulas, and above all, to talk about, we could say, the future. And now the present, which is cryptocurrencies, and above all, artificial intelligence. Also, honestly, it's already here. It's almost part of our daily work. And we're going to analyze all of this, as I said, with a very special guest. He is an expert in AI and cryptocurrencies, and he is also the co-founder and academic director of Learning Heroes. His name is Arnau Ramio, and we're going to greet him now. How are you, Arnau?
How are you? Well, I'm delighted to be here and looking forward to the conversation.
Well, Arno, as I said, is an expert in cryptocurrencies and AI. I'm sure all the subscribers of Medidas Cautelares like myself have been hearing about cryptocurrencies for many years now. In recent years, especially the topic of AI has already become established, and precisely Arnau is going to help us decipher this now. Arnau, we could already say that it's not just the future, but actually the present. I'd like to start, Arnau, first of all, with cryptocurrencies. I want you to explain to all the subscribers of Medidas Cautelares and everyone who is watching or will watch this video exactly what cryptocurrencies are. Because I, for example, have been hearing about cryptocurrencies for years. I admit that up until now, Arnau, I still haven't invested in cryptocurrencies, and I want you to explain to me, first of all, what exactly are cryptocurrencies?
That's a good question. And while it seems simple, it's not as easy as it appears. In the end, the blockchain world or cryptocurrencies are just another one of the many exponential technologies that we are exposed to. When we think about AI is pretty simple to understand. We have replicated our ability to add value, we have replicated our intelligence, we have scaled it, we have made it obedient, and now we can do what we used to do faster. So this is not hard to understand. I think everyone, when you think about AI, maybe you don't apply it, maybe you haven't gotten past the hurdle of using it well with prompting, with various models, with agents, but everyone can understand it. It's like what you did before, but better and faster. When we move on to the crypto part, it's the same thing. It's an exponential technology that will change our lives. It's not a casino or anything like that. It's a technology that changes the way we move value. But the concept of moving value isn't as clear as what we learned with AI, so it's much more abstract. So, a first analogy or a first conclusion is it's very similar to AI in the sense that it's another exponential technology, which over the next few years will change the way we live. No matter what, there's no alternative. And among these, we also have robotics, the way we generate energy. So we're in the midst of several revolutions happening in parallel. So if we focus on the crypto part, it's something very similar to the internet. It's a network that allows us to move value. So if I want to send you 10 euros right now, I need an intermediary. Because the internet was invented with the idea of being able to move information, but not value. This need wasn't considered in the original design, so I can send you anything over the internet, but nothing that's unique, secure, or scarce. So, if I want to send you, for example, a small part, like 5% of an apartment that I own, if I want to sell it to you, we can't do it with a digital transaction. We have to record it with a notary or at the public registry. I need this to renew my ID, make a financial transaction, or buy a share. Everything that has to do with value, which in the end is one of the most important technologies in our lives, because value is what coordinates us, right? If I go to work, it's because I know that by providing value, they will give me something in return that will allow me to live my life. So, the fact that any economic transaction of value goes through an intermediary and can't be done over the internet is a problem. So now, Miguel, I'm sure you're used to the idea that everything is instant. Now we're more short-term oriented. Now it's like we have less patience. And in part, that's true for everything related to information, especially with AI. Everything that has to do with knowing something, finding something, anything related to information is instant. But when it comes to value, we're still the same as we were 20 years ago. Sending money to another country is still complicated. It's still very expensive. It's still very rudimentary. Banks have absolute control over what you do and don't do. So economic freedom doesn't exist. So what is blockchain? Blockchain is like a layer that the internet was missing, which is a technology that allows us to move value without intermediaries. Bitcoin was the first. Ethereum was the second major revolution because it lets us create programs. So the difference with Ethereum is I can send you a Bitcoin. But with Ethereum, I can send a program that says if there's a game tomorrow and the team wins, let's say Barca wins. Barca, the money is sent to you automatically. It might sound silly, but it's automatic. There's no middleman. You don't need B365 to place the bet. So you program the money, you make it programmable. And Solana is the same thing, but a bit faster. So well, that's a general overview. It's just another technology. It won't stop growing. It's inevitable. Since it's tied to an asset, there's a bit more resistance because it grows more than it should and falls more than it should. But it's just another technology. Linked to an asset, that's its nature. We can't change that.
And for example, Arnaud, let's say I have some assets, some savings, and I want to invest them in Bitcoin. That's kind of like, to some extent, like investing in the stock market, investing in shares. That money gets converted into Bitcoin as if it were another digital currency. Exactly. How does this work?
I think if you had to compare it, the best comparison is as if you were buying gold. But not gold through an ETF, but actual gold. So when you invest in gold, you have like two options. One way is the financial side, where you go to the bank and say, look, I want 10,000 euros in gold. And they buy you a paper that says you have 10,000 euros in gold. If gold goes up, you make money. If gold goes down, you lose, right? But you don't have physical gold. Bitcoin would be like having physical gold, but in digital format. It's hard to grasp because we live in a world where digital things are easily copied and often seen as worthless. How can I be sure my Bitcoins can't be stolen? Or why can't I just copy and paste the Bitcoins I have? It's hard to understand, but blockchain makes this impossible. So, just like gold, which is unique, it's physical and it's yours, right? It's sovereign. Bitcoin is the same, but in digital form. You need your own wallet. You have X Bitcoin linked to your wallet. So it would be like buying gold. When we buy Ethereum or Solana, it would be more similar to a stock because Bitcoin aims to be money. It doesn't serve any other purpose. It doesn't generate anything just like gold. But it's simply a more accessible, more divisible digital format with many advantages, we could say. On the other hand, Solana and Ethereum are platforms. They are ecosystems where we want to create applications. So they would be more like a Nasdaq stock. It's an ecosystem that generates profits because to use a Solana application, I have to pay fees. Those profits are distributed. So it's as if it were a company that literally makes money and where applications are built. So here it would be like buying a company and we would have to value it like a company. If it generates profits, if it actually has utility, how many users use it per day? And well, when you look at it in perspective, there are three assets. You have Bitcoin as digital gold and Ethereum and Solana, which are the main platforms. There are others, but then we're moving further up the risk curve.
That's what I was going to ask you right now. I mean, there are like, let's say, three types of cryptocurrencies, because then you start searching on the internet and a lot of types show up, right? Bitcoin and I don't know what else. So are there several types or are those three main ones, the ones you just mentioned, Arnaud?
Well, that's a good question. In the end, I think what's really important to make clear, especially for someone who's starting from scratch, is to imagine this like the internet. The internet isn't in any one place, but it allows us to move value. It's very similar. The blockchain isn't in any one place. It's the combination of many computers connected to a network. Just like the internet, right? So in this network for transferring value, what's important is adoption. It's the only thing that matters. There will always be a project claiming technical superiority. It doesn't matter. What matters is who is using your ecosystem and whether more and more people are joining and if the people who use it don't leave because they prefer to be with you rather than with someone else. To give you an idea, this is very comparable to social networks, right? When Instagram or Facebook were created, what mattered was Facebook. You might argue there was a technically better copy, but what mattered was people used Facebook. If I'm already on Facebook, why switch to another social network? That's the power of the network effect. It's where I'll find what I need. Blockchains are similar. They're like black holes attracting users. When it already gives you something, you usually don't switch networks. So what matters to us is which networks have a network effect, which networks are big enough and have good features and good design, so we know they'll keep growing. Well, there are three: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. Those are the three crypto assets that we can feel most confident about. They will still be volatile, but in the long term, they will become the financial infrastructure of the world. And everything will be digitized on top of that, and any economic transaction will happen there. Even if you use a bank, the bank will be connected to the blockchain. It may sound futuristic, but look at how fast artificial intelligence is advancing. Where will agents transact? Not in a bank account, but with a blockchain wallet. These technologies go together. It's the same revolution. It's a great technological revolution. So, in the world of cryptocurrencies, we have these three that have gained adoption. But if we want to understand the types, we could say there are three types. Do you remember? Some are trying to function as money. So, it's a network of computers that allows you to move money over the internet, whose purpose and goal is to be an alternative to the euro, the dollar, the peso. What types of coins are there here? There are many. We have Bitcoin, the most important one, whose value proposition is to be a good store of value. I can keep my money there. We have Zcash, which is like private money, like cash, but digital. We have XRP, which is a coin that moves very fast. We have several contenders or candidates to become currencies that could replace traditional money. Personal opinion, I think it's only worth focusing on one, especially when you're starting out, and that's Bitcoin. Then we have those that want to be platforms. These are blockchains that don't just aim to be money, but want to be a place where I can create an application. A financial application, predictive markets, to digitize something from the real world, to create AI agents, things like that. So here we have Ethereum and Solana. There are many others, okay? But we can't know which one will be the next to gain network effects. Without network effects, it's riskier. Could it go well? Sure, but it could also go worse. It depends. Then there are the tokens. Tokens are the coins, units, or shares of the applications we create on Ethereum. So I don't know if you've ever heard of any application on Ethereum. I don't know if you know any. A very famous one is Polymarket. Polymarket is the prediction market where we check if Trump or Biden will win the election. And it became very popular. So anyone can bet there. That's not a company. That's a program on Ethereum. It's a program that works automatically where anyone can invest without restrictions, without showing your ID, just using your wallet as usual. And basically, we bet on future events. That's Polymarket. We have Aave. Aave is like a digital bank, a bank without actually being a bank. It's a platform where I can lend my money to anyone in the world at any time, and I can withdraw it whenever I want. But there are no intermediaries, there are no hidden fees, there aren't, well, it's like a new financial era. So these applications add value, right? They make money, generate fees, and have users. Well, the way to invest in this application or in this program is the token. The Aave token is linked to the Aave application. The Polymarket token doesn't exist yet. So if they ever create it, then there would be the option to be part of that application or that company, we could say. I don't know if this makes sense, but I'm trying to give you the general overview so that it's more or less understandable.
There are a lot of concepts, especially Arnav, for those of us who don't know much about this subject, right? I find it interesting because it's a completely different universe, and I are now related to my field. I mean, just imagine I have some savings now, and I say I could invest them in the stock market, for example, in my investor, right? In stocks, whatever. Or I could invest it in cryptocurrencies. It would be like turning my savings into Bitcoins. And then that Bitcoin, it gives me a return. How does that work exactly? And how can I invest in cryptocurrencies if I have that money? I have assets, and so do many people who are watching us, right? After watching this video, they'll say, I have some money and maybe I want to invest it in something different, not just the stock market, right? I want to invest it in cryptocurrencies. How do I do it? What kind of return does it give me? And above all, is it safe? That's one of the things people worry about the most, right? Especially people who are older. This new era catches them a bit more, let's say, closer to retirement. And they say, wow, this whole cryptocurrency thing sounds like something out of Blade Runner, right? I don't know if you could clarify a bit. I don't know if there's a parallel with investing in the stock market. If that cryptocurrency increases in value, how can I do it? Is it safe?
That's a good question. I think we always start with the context. I understand the Blade Runner reference, but investing in AI or investing in robotics or investing in companies that want to explore space is the same thing. The thing is, it's a technology that's a bit more abstract. We're talking about the same thing. It's the same investment. The same investment in the sense that we're all trying to buy what will define the world in 10 years, not today. So we're all kind of restless, like, okay, I want to invest in AI, I want to invest in chips, I want to invest in space exploration, in robotics. Well, you also have to want to invest in the financial infrastructure of the future, which is one of the most important things right now, by far, on the same level as AI, especially in terms of profitability, because the agents will have to transact and they will need to have an identity. And humans will have to be more financially free. And we will need to have a digital space where it isn't difficult to get dollars. You are in many places worldwide, and getting dollars is hard because your country doesn't allow it. Because the currency they use is manipulated, they inject liquidity, they print money, which makes you poorer. So they prevent you from switching to dollars so that you stay with their currency, which they can control. This is going to change. And the technology that's going to make this change is blockchain. Blockchain is also going to bring worlds that seem very much like science fiction, just like AI at some point. Well, video games where you actually own what you buy and sell, and your weapon is yours. So much more powerful virtual realities. We will have a boom in digital art. So it's a technology that opens up a world for us, just like the others. That being said, when you want to invest, what is investing? What is investing? Investing is holding back from a present pleasure. So I hold back from going out to dinner, or I hold back from doing whatever I want with my money in order to lock it up so that tomorrow it will be worth more. So the cost of not spending my money now, of investing it in a company, in a bond, well, the incentive is that in 10 years, I believe that will be worth more than what I put in. That's the goal. So when I invest, I have several options. One option is bonds. I can lend money to the government and earn a fixed, though low, interest rate. I invest in commodities like gold and oil because I believe rising demand will increase their value. I can invest in stocks because I believe a company is in a growth stage and will be worth more tomorrow. I can invest in derivatives like options, which are more complex. Now I can invest in something that didn't exist before, which is a crypto asset. It's a new category of asset. It's something we didn't know before. It's different from stocks, but at its core, it's very similar. And starting from the basics, the first thing would be, is it safe? Yes. Is it interesting? Yes. It's a new type of asset. Imagine having invested in stocks when we invented them, because stocks were also something we invented, right? That idea of sharing in a company's profits. So when the stock market appeared, we had exponential growth. Well, it's very similar now. Crypto assets are emerging, a totally digital type of asset that everyone can have and use. It's transparent, it's unseizable, things like that. To know if it makes sense or not, I would suggest the following perspective. Right now, we always look for a diversified portfolio, of course. So putting everything into one thing? No. But what are we looking to invest in now? We look to invest in what will define the world in 10 years. That's why we invest in AI, we invest in technology, because it's the only thing that's growing. Well, the NASDAQ and the stock market are interesting, but crypto is interesting too. We're investing in the assets of the infrastructure, where everything will be built on top, all the stocks, all the assets. So I know it's like a whole world, but I hope I helped you understand how it's done. The only thing left to add is that to invest in cryptocurrencies, you need a platform, which is an exchange. You don't go through an intermediary like a bank. The bank may allow you to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum, nothing else. If you want access to all cryptocurrencies, use an exchange like Binance, Coinbase, or Kraken. Very simple platforms, intuitive, very secure, regulated, some of the biggest and most important platforms in the world. You register and you can buy a cryptocurrency with a card or by bank transfer, very simple.
And the profitability are now? Well, you're saying that right now the most profitable thing is to invest in technology because that's what gives the most benefits. Through Bitcoin, you put in, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000 euros in Bitcoin. And then once you have Bitcoin, you can use it to invest in technology. Or by investing in Bitcoin directly, you're already making that investment and you're going to get a direct return just by moving your money.
There are two possibilities. The first one is that you say, I'm investing in Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is technology. It has three pillars, right? It's a new technology. It's a new kind of money. And we could even define it as as a decentralized network, right? That is connected with miners who spend energy. So these three factors give it value. But going back to the question, investing in Bitcoin is already investing in technology. It's investing in a new form of money. So when I buy Bitcoin, I wait, I hold. And my opinion, or the bet is that tomorrow it will be worth more. If we look at the analysts, what do they say? Man, the prospects are very positive. With a lot of volatility, that's true. But we have a lot of funds. From the largest fund in the world, like BlackRock, Fidelity, we're not talking about small tech funds anymore. No, we're talking about the biggest in the world, like Fidelity and BlackRock. Analysis suggests Bitcoin could reach 1 to 1.5 million, discussing potential returns. Astronomical. On the other hand, you also have the option to buy Bitcoin, wait for it to go up, but in the meantime, generate a return from it. Put it to work. How is this done? With something we call DeFi. So on Ethereum, we said that we can create applications, and an application like Aave allows me to lend my money. So imagine you have Bitcoin, and instead of just keeping it, you decide to lend it at 4%, at 3%. So besides just holding the asset and waiting for it to grow, I can generate a yield from it. This gives me exponential growth because from something that increases in value every day, I also have more of that currency every day. It generates extra yield for you. So these are the two ways we have to make money in crypto.
Well, I find it interesting, Arnav. After our talk, I'll start exploring out of curiosity since it seems like a whole world to discover.
Is there something where you say, damn, this isn't clear to me because it's complex given the time we have, and it's always good to leave it for a few days, right? Is there anything you still don't quite understand, or has it been helpful?
I think it's been pretty clear. I mean, what I understand is that it's a way of investing directly, not investing in Bitcoin. And then there are apps like My Investor, for example, to invest in the stock market. So there are apps. I think you mentioned one called Binance. I was a bit unsure about that name. I'm not sure if that's exactly what it was, with which one. So you download that app, I guess, and you start messing around with it. And that's where you can make that investment and, let's say, move your money as usual. Bitcoin, right?
Exactly. You have the platform, you sign up, and there you can buy cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies are a new technology that's used to move value around the world. We seek the ones seeing adoption since others are too risky. Ultimately, we want options we'll keep using as they'll be more valuable. It's inevitable, right? Because we'll use it more. We know that Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana are well positioned. And besides just buying and holding, I can buy and use other applications that are decentralized. It's very simple, but the name might change. We can generate extra returns and earn even more. It's that simple. This gives us passive income.
And are now that investment in Bitcoin today, from what you're saying, is it really worth it? I mean, there's some volatility, as you say, there's a lot of volatility in Bitcoin, but at the same time, it can also bring us much greater profits than if you do traditional stock market investing, even if it's a high risk portfolio, etc.
I think so for two reasons. The first would be risk reward. So, the potential benefit that Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana give you compared to the risk is enormous because we're talking about something inevitable. We're not talking about something that might or might not happen. We know it will be volatile. We know it will take time. That adoption won't happen overnight. But when you already have more than 30 countries that have Bitcoin on their balance sheets, when you have an asset that's now at 1, 1.5, or 2 trillion that has absolute institutional support in the United States, and the world is becoming more and more digital, and agents need to be able to transact in a space outside the banking system that's instant and secure. We know that's where the world is heading. Just like we know that AI keeps growing or that robots will soon be in our homes. These are technological facts. Knowing this, of course, the opportunity. The opportunity is high and the risk is low, since if this is secure, 3 networks are already seeing adoption and will continue growing. There are others that are potentially more profitable, but riskier. In other words, Bitcoin also offers you huge returns with little risk that you can't find in the stock market. What do I mean by that? If you want to invest in Anthropic because you say Anthropic is incredible, I use Claude Code, and it's probably the best product I've ever tried in my life. I can't invest in Anthropic. Because Anthropic is a private company, you can only invest during a funding round and must be a fund. So, when Anthropic goes public, the potential profit won't be as high anymore. So the stock market, in the end, is a market with a lot of opportunity, which I think is worth it. I'm invested in NASDAQ, and I really believe in the technological future, but at the same time, Bitcoin doesn't have intermediaries. It's not that you can get in now, but before only the funds could get in. No, it's the first asset where everyone can get in, even before the big funds arrive, which is what's happening. Therefore, I think it's more accessible and that it's well below its fair price. In recent months, Bitcoin has dropped a lot compared to AI and technology. And this divergence is normal, it's temporary, they will cross paths again. So, we're buying a highly undervalued asset, one that doesn't have intermediaries, and that lets you get in before the funds do. It's a very clear guarantee of adoption growth. So, I think whether you put everything in or not, but putting nothing in is absurd. It's like you have the option to invest in Anthropic and you don't do it. Why? Why wouldn't you do it? If there's a part of your capital you want to save, invest it in what you know will be 10 times bigger or 15 times bigger in 5 years. That would be the logic in my head.
So right now, Arnav, from what you're saying, it's also a good time because it's undervalued and it's a good moment to make a good investment and then let those returns grow over time.
Thank you. Besides the potential, it's also heavily discounted. The price is way below its fair value. It could continue, yes, maybe for a couple more months, the pullback could go on, but if our view is long term, today is a great moment. Historically, we'll look back and say that today was one of the best times to get in, without a doubt, so these are the moments we need to take advantage of.
Exactly. Arnav, before moving on to AI, I'd like to talk with you. You are the co-founder and academic director of Learning Heroes. I want you to explain to us exactly what Learning Heroes is.
Well, we are a university center where we focus on teaching in the best possible way, supported by a methodology with hundreds of trainers, support and experts, very personalized guidance, and a platform where you have all the AI features, the community, and AI agents that accompany you and ask you questions. So, we wanted to take education to a level that doesn't exist yet in Spain. Not in more traditional settings like a university, nor in other environments like modern ones, meaning anyone who can teach a course. So in this sense, we focus specifically on exponential technologies. So our thesis, or at least my view of the world is, in the next 5 or 10 years, everything is going to change. Maybe we're not fully aware, but this change will lead to a better world. But at the same time, it will bring many challenges. I 100% believe that there will be people who will lose their jobs. Believing this won't happen is absurd. Eventually, a bank will lay off 30,000 employees after fully automating with agents. We're closer to that reality than it seems. It's going to change the way we use money. The market is going to be very volatile and there will be more online businesses. So, along these lines, we try to teach what can help you today to live better during this transition in this era of exponential change. And we teach about AI as well as crypto, finance, all the marketing aspects, the creative side of AI, and how to trade. So we have a lot of products, all very carefully curated with a lot of dedication. Right now at Learning Heroes, there are 140 of us making this possible with an obsession for product quality. So this is Learning Heroes. And above all, we aim to share our vision of the world. We want people to see that this won't happen again, that throughout history, there are very few times when the opportunity is so extraordinary, right? To learn, to prepare for what's coming. Because doing it opens up a world of opportunities for you. Not doing it can be very costly, it can have very harsh consequences. So that's why we are committed to training and to what we do.
And Arnav, you are precisely going to hold some workshops, let's say free training sessions related to what we just talked about cryptocurrencies.
Exactly. With more time, with the option to start from scratch, even though I think we've done a good job. Like the general overview that it's a technology, that it's not a casino, but yes, we're doing it for 4 days. We call it Crypto Heroes Live. We start from scratch and guide a person, and on the second day, you are investing safely with a platform. You understand how to generate passive income. From what we've talked about with DeFi, we'll see how to do it step by step. And the goal is that a person who starts from scratch or who has minimal knowledge, or who has invested but it didn't go well, comes away understanding. What is all this about? How do you invest safely? How can you make money? Which projects are worth it and which ones are not? And regardless, if later you want to continue with a university level training program with Learning Heroes, at least you'll have the basics to do things right. Because I think a lot of people have lost money in this market. But just like if you get into the stock market without understanding anything and you think it's going to be easy, there are also people who lose money. It's the same thing, it's a market, and markets have to be treated with respect and with good judgment, because if not, it's very difficult for things to go well. Here's what we're looking for: that you have the basics, so whatever you do, you know what to do and what not to do. And that what you do, or whatever you do, is done safely, and honestly, that you know the step-by-step process.
Well, let's let our viewers, subscribers, and so on know that we're going to put the link in the video description and also in the comments, pinned, so that anyone who wants to sign up for that free training that's going to be given at Learning Heroes about cryptocurrencies can do so. And for those who want to start from scratch, as we've been explaining here in this video, they can do so. They can sign up. Correct me if I'm wrong, Arnau, it's in May.
Yes, exactly. It's exactly on the weekdays of 23 exactly. Now I think it's Monday the 23rd when we start.
Okay, it's in May, so you have time to check it out, to sign up, and we encourage you to open yourselves up to this new era.
Sorry, March 23rd.
March 23rd, yes. Well, we're going to leave the link with all the information so that everyone who wants to can sign up for this free training, which I think is going to be really interesting as we open ourselves up to this new era that is no longer the future, but the present. And before moving on to AI, Arnau, I'd like to, at this particular moment, I mean, I mentioned it at the beginning of the video, right? At this moment, when there is war, when the price of computers is going up, when there is instability, more volatility, more uncertainty, is it also a good time to make that investment in crypto?
Probably the best. First, because the world of investment is a world of probabilities. It's like we have no idea, and anyone who thinks they know is mistaken. It's like we can assign probabilities to things we believe, we create a thesis, and this thesis allows us to argue or defend why we think Bitcoin is going to go up or why we think it's going to go down. And within these theses, we assign probabilities. So, look, from what I've seen, without having a crystal ball, because nobody has one, I think there's a 60% chance it will keep growing, a 20% chance of a pullback, and a 20% chance it will stagnate for 3 months. I'm just making this up, okay? So, we can't know if it will be the best or the worst moment. What we can do is look for arguments or develop a thesis. So, the first argument is that if the war drags on, it will need, as we've seen in every armed conflict, economic support. This only happens by printing money and creating debt. There is no other option. So when this happens, what that will do is lower the value of the dollar. When this happens, Bitcoin skyrockets. Because Bitcoin was born for this, it was created to protect us. It was born after the crisis of 2008, tired of banks controlling money and central banks doing whatever they want with it, to create a kind of money that no one can manipulate. That is fair, that does the exact opposite, to protect you. So, with this analysis, having Bitcoin now, with a potential end to the war, it's strange. Let's see how it all ends, but it's a good time. Historically as well, Bitcoin tends to stand out during times of conflict because it's that sovereign, impartial asset where it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what side you're on, or what your country is, or your politics, or the situation you're in. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. Bitcoin holds value in Iran during conflict, just as it does in Spain, the United States, Chile, and Japan. Everyone will want to buy it from you since it's a global asset. This gives you peace of mind, a way to protect your value that we can't compare, because you might say, gold, sure, but if you have to travel, are you going to take it with you? And if you have to sell it, you'll sell it at the local market price to whoever buys your physical gold. If you buy it through a bank, you depend on the bank. If the bank closes because the economic situation isn't good, what you had isn't yours anymore. So it gives you the strongest guarantees of sovereignty. So in times like now, I think it's a smart asset to have. And also, well, we've just had a 50% drop, and there will be very few better times than now. Maybe there will be one more. That's why you shouldn't go all in, but ease in gradually. But this is the moment. The window from now through the next few months is the time to get in. If we want Bitcoin to hit over 100,000, we'll be glad we invested early. Others will say we were just lucky. It's not luck. It's getting in when the time is right, when most people won't. And that's the magic of the markets. The most profitable thing is buying low. Buy when you should, exactly.
Very well, Arnau. So let's move on to the second part of this video, right? Of this interview. And I want you to tell us, Arnau, what is the exponential era? Because I'm totally fascinated by it. I mean, what is the exponential era?
Well, I think we've defined it pretty well. Look, the exponential era comes from reading a lot of things, because in the end, I would love to be a thought leader about where the world is heading. But in the end, I love following investment funds. I think funds are the entities that dedicate the most resources to researching what's happening, where the world is going, and analyzing it using metrics. And one of the funds that impressed me the most since 2020 was ARK Invest. Yes, you know it, but ARK Invest is probably the most important fund in terms of research on exponential technologies. Without a doubt, it's number one. There are many others, like cross-border ones, with liquidity issues. I love following the digital data related to the crypto sector. And in the end, I started to see that it wasn't just one technology. My first contact with an exponential technology was with crypto in 2017. But then I started seeing funds talk about AI and talking about robotics and talking about Tesla's autonomous cars and talking about how SpaceX had reduced the cost to less than $100 to send a kilogram into space. And seeing how we had super advanced batteries that could last in a robot for more than 24 hours, I started to see that in medicine we had, for example, the AI model AlphaFold, which had before a doctor had to spend 6 years doing a doctorate to discover the fold of a protein. Then we created AlphaFold from Gemini, Google. It deciphered the fold of 200 million proteins in 1 year.
And then
Something that would have taken us ages. Then everything starts to converge, everything starts to accelerate. AI does, ChatGPT appears in 2022, and today we already have Cloud Code, which is absolutely crazy. It can work for 15 hours straight without errors. So everything is exponential. We are at a moment where change is not linear, and if we imagine the world in 5 years, we can't think it will just be a bit more of what we've already experienced. No, it will be 10 or 100 times more. So, this exponential era is both the gift and the curse we've been given, because it will be the best moment and the worst moment. It's that simple. To think that banks won't keep printing money and making everyone poorer, that buying an apartment will become more and more difficult. This is going to continue. Thinking that AI won't replace hundreds of thousands of people is crazy. It will do it. It will do it. You just have to look at the agents. You just have to look at things like CloudBot. It's impressive. They're virtual employees, and we're just months, maybe years away. We're starting to see it. Now, there's a study from Anthropic that looked at the impact on professions and showed that the impact on finance, the impact on brands, on business, on consulting, on medicine were all very high, which gives us a sign that in 1 to 4 years, many employees could be replaced. So, in this exponential era, we have a double reality, a wonderful future and an incredible present in which everything is growing and getting faster and better all the time. And the reality that this progress is going to impact us. And I think it's time, and this is the theory of the ring heroes, for you to learn how to protect your money and invest. Learn about crypto, educate yourself in finance and investment to build your investment portfolio. Educate yourself in programming using AI. Learn about trading, taking advantage of market volatility. Or train yourself in AI to transform your business, be more productive, learn how to create agents, employees, and have them work for you. It may sound unbelievable, but you can meet with them in the morning, assign tasks, and later see what they've done. They've been working for 24 hours. And this already exists, it already works, and it's not difficult. So this is the exponential era. It's this moment where everything is going to change.
Well, I think we should focus on the positive side, right, Arno? That is to say, as you said, some professions will be replaced. That is, some will disappear. But this also gives us the opportunity. It's a moment of change and a chance to retrain for other professions. I don't know if you, Arno, as an expert, could predict for us which professions you currently see as inevitably going to disappear because of AI. Because that's something people ask AI itself, right? I mean, which professions are going to disappear? I'm a journalist, so my profession is also at risk of disappearing. Which professions do you clearly see disappearing because of the massive rollout of AI? It started as something people just experimented with. Now, practically a lot of older people use AI in their daily lives. The implementation and development are both massive. So, which professions do you think could disappear for good? But as I said, this is also an opportunity to learn, for example, at Learning Heroes, just to name one, and to be able to retrain yourself in another profession.
Without sounding alarmist, because I don't think it's happening right now, I think it will happen over the next few years. I think which professions do you think will disappear? Irremediable, but as a moment to, for example, become more independent, or the humanoid robot from Optimus? Next year, we'll already have 1 million in production, the following year, 10 million, and in 5 years, we won't even notice. And it will already be a product you can buy to have in your home. This exponential evolution will make every profession susceptible to change. From physical jobs, and especially those of us who work in front of a screen, who do something related to computers, who work with an application. Well, I'm very good at Excel, at programming, at a language, at Photoshop. That ability to manage a program, AI already has it. This is called computer use, which means the agent itself controls your computer and does what you do. Everything will probably change, and faster than we expect. It may not happen this year, or it could start soon. Major companies worldwide are already doing it. So, Amazon has laid off 16,000 people. Jack Dorsey recently laid off 4,000, and some companies hide it more, some are more obvious, and Jack Dorsey said, no, it's because of AI. It's happening now only in the most tech-focused areas and will quickly trickle down. So, having said that, I think it doesn't mean that everyone will be eliminated, but that one person will be able to do much more. As if they were 10 people at once, because our role will evolve from operating, from doing things, to managing agents so they can do things. And above all, validating. So, there will also be a lot of opportunities for people who validate, who have experience, who know what they're talking about, and who validate the work of AI. Because since AI creates infinite text non-stop, someone has to review it because it can make mistakes. So I think a lot of jobs will be lost. Que aunque el empleo evolucione, it won't evolve as fast as the rate at which we're going to lose jobs. So I think the idea of a 10 or 20% unemployment rate could actually become real. It will be a chaotic period, as some governments may ban layoffs, but companies that comply could lose competitiveness compared with companies in other countries and may have to close. It will be very brutal, and I have no idea how it's going to evolve. But what I know for sure is that all current roles make sense when you master AI. Whatever you do, you can start doing it better and more efficiently with agents, using knowledge that's easy to learn because you don't need to know how to code, that you can teach others, and that you can apply in your business, so you can basically do what you already do, but better. That temporary advantage we have now, I think it's very, very, very relevant. Because it's like you said, there will be journalists, but maybe fewer, because the research you can do now with agents is practically infinite. You can stay up to date with everything. You can achieve much more with fewer people. And incentives are incentives. If the company's incentive is to maximize profit to stay competitive, it's likely they'll do it. So, this is the uncertain future we're facing, where the one thing that's certain is learning about AI, and that will give you an advantage. That's the most certain thing. From there, we'll gradually see how things change.
I don't know, Arnaud, this is a legal information channel, so I'm going to approach it from my angle. Could there come a time when judges are also AI and you present a specific criminal case? Given the evidence provided and all that, the AI would be able to pass judgment. Because this might seem like something out of science fiction, as I said, but we're getting closer and closer. It's more widespread. For example, as a journalist, we already have tools that edit our stories, suggest headlines, and so on. I mean, it's being implemented at a dizzying speed. So, of course, at the judicial level, I also understand it's going to have a huge impact when it comes to searching for case law and rulings from similar cases. All of that is going to be systematized in some way.
Look, I think it's inevitable because of the incentives, right? The judicial system is very slow. I've gone through some processes myself, and it's always frustrating no matter where you are. So, I think the need for automation and higher levels of efficiency is clear. In many cases that are very similar, AI itself could analyze them all and extract rulings like, look, this happened here, so the same will happen here. I think it makes sense. Still, it's a world, a black box. As unbelievable as it may seem, nobody knows why it works. It's like the human brain. We give it information, it gets smarter each time, but we can't understand what's going on inside. Because inside, it's like there are neurons. There are trillions of parameters, each with a number, and the combination of each adjustment, each number, each parameter ends up creating intelligence. It's like, it's a file. I could have it on a flash drive. They're just numbers. It's like science fiction, but that's how it is. I give a lot of information to a digital brain. That digital brain adjusts the numbers, it learns, and after a lot of learning, it turns out that this combination of numbers, when I ask it something, it answers me, it's intelligent. So we don't fully understand how it works. Since it's a black box, We don't want a judge to rule on something without an explanation or for there to be discrimination. Well, because of their nationality, one person is allowed to apply for a loan and another isn't. Of course, since it's AI and it does it automatically, I think there will be a lot of reluctance, especially in perhaps more important cases. But the fact is that there will be AI, and more, and everything will be or tend to be faster, that's for sure. It will likely take longer for AI to become judges due to concerns about bias, transparency, and trust, such as whether to trust ChatGPT or Claude, especially if they disagree. So I think this will take a little longer.
To conclude, Arnav, I would like to, just as you've recommended apps, bitcoins, and so on, I'd also like you to recommend something for the average user, for any citizen. Which would you say are the most interesting AI applications? For example, since I have Twitter X, I use Grok a lot, but then, for instance, some family members use ChatGPT, others use Gemini. I don't know which ones you could recommend in general that are the most interesting, I think, for our daily lives.
If you want, we can start with the four models. There are four models that are the most relevant. We have Grok, which stands out because it's the most up to date in terms of news and the best when it comes to finance. Because it's connected to X, which is the database, and it has a system, I don't remember exactly, but anyway, it updates every day with real time information, so it's always up to date. Then we have Gemini, which is probably the most complete because it has Nano Banana for images, VO3 for videos, so overall. Nano Banana is the best model for images. Veo, if it's not the best, it's in the top 2 or 3 video models. And Gemini is one of the most powerful models, so it gives you a lot of versatility. And if you work with Google, with Drive, with Google Docs, with Google Sheets, I think it's the best option by far. Then we have ChatGPT, which I think is the most used, the most flexible. It's just very convenient to go to ChatGPT and ask it something. So I would say that for a basic user or for someone who wants AI just to ask questions, for very basic use cases, ChatGPT is a very good option. But when we get to more sophisticated levels, strategy for a company where your job involves a lot of decisions, a lot of information, Claude is the best. Claude doesn't have images. The voice part doesn't work very well because they focus on one thing, and that's making their model the smartest. And honestly, there's no comparison. So it's the one I use the most. But as I said, for images, I would go with Gemini. For day-to-day, well, I use ChatGPT because it has the best user experience. The voice experience, talking with the model, ChatGPT is the best. With Grok, well, I would use it more for searching for information, looking up current events, or comments from maybe a person, because it pulls everything from Twitter. These are models. In terms of tools, I'll give one, I could give many, but the one that comes to mind and is undeniable is Notebook LM. Notebook LM is a tool created by Google that uses the Gemini model, which is perfect for studying. You can upload as much documentation as you want, or even YouTube videos, or an entire YouTube channel, 150 YouTube videos. It analyzes them and allows you to create quizzes, an interactive presentation, a PowerPoint, an explanatory podcast. It's amazing. And for me, it's a way to learn very quickly, to absorb a lot of information in a short time. So I think for the people on your channel, I believe it's one of the most powerful ones, by far.
It's Notebook LM, right?
Notebook LM, and it's from Google, right? So with Gemini, by paying for the $20 a month Gemini option, which is Ultra AI, you also get access to Notebook LM. Just so you know, I pay for all of them, probably due to my job. I like them all. It depends on what I need. But the most complete ones, I would say, are Gemini and Claude when you're looking for intelligence, when you're looking for, if you're a CEO and you want someone to help you think, really, Claude. Just like it sounds, right?
Arnav, just like it sounds.
Claude, yes, from Anthropic. For programming too.
Well, honestly, I've taken a lot of notes, Arnav, from everything you've told me. I think it's a really interesting interview. It's the present, it's the future. And I should also mention, Arnav, that you also offer courses at Learning Heroes related to AI. So, besides cryptocurrencies, which is the one you'll have soon, that free training, you also offer that at Learning Heroes. Those profiles, those trainings. Yes, Libros GB.
Absolutely. The next promotion starts around May or so, and the spots fill up fast because I think that's the one people are most interested in. Then on our website, you can find all the information. Each of the programs is listed so you can understand the methodology, what each session is about, and what you will learn. In our case, our main focus is agents. I think we're the first ones. Look, I like to say it because it's true, right? We were the first ones to teach about AI at the user level, about how a person can be better with AI, and the first ones to back agents when no one was talking about it. And now I think it's obvious. There are many people who focus on automation, like creating flows in Make, in A10, and even though we see that too, I think that doesn't make as much sense. What's truly wonderful is learning how to communicate with the models, how to master them, of course, but also how to create virtual employees. Each day, you have about 10 agents. One handles research. If they find a YouTube video to investigate, they pass it to another agent for transcription. The transcriber sends it to the researcher for analysis, who then gives it to the orchestrator, who coordinates everything. You have someone who creates content for you when you research something, making posts as needed. It's like you have an army, you have to design them well and see how they complement each other, but that's not what we're focusing on. And well, we're looking at it. In the company, we have departments or squads of agents. That's something agents can already do, and it works very well. It takes a few weeks to adjust it to be what you're looking for, but when you get it right, it's wonderful.
Well, it's amazing, Arnau. Everything you've told us, really, thank you so much for visiting us. As I always say here, that's it for Medidas Cautelares with Miguel Angel Perez. You're free without Medidas Cautelares, Arnau. And really, thank you so much. I hope that later on we can have other conversations because honestly, I found this interview super useful and very interesting. And I think that everyone who has watched this interview will definitely get on board, if they haven't already, with everything related to cryptocurrencies and AI. To improve ourselves now, it's no longer about the future, it's to improve our present, both economically and professionally. Really, thank you so much, Arnau. And of course, Learning Heroes. We'll put all the information, as I mentioned before, both in the video description and in the pinned comment, so you can sign up for this free training. And thank you so much, Arnau, for visiting us at Medidas Cautelares.
It's been a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to us finding a way to continue so we can catch up because things move very fast and it will be a real pleasure for us. So thank you for inviting us.
A big hug, Arnau. Thank you so much. Thank you.